Hot Mic is brought to you by Red Wing Shoes of Fargo. Built to last. 3003 Main Avenue, Fargo.
It's a busy Monday. We'll have a full recap of a huge day for Bison basketball over the weekend. Also, Avery Koenen will join us, talk about their win against South Dakota State. And the AFC and NFC championships are set. Lot to get to. Hot Mic starts right now.
Hot Mic with Dom Izzo.
Really? Really, Dom?
No. I like what Dom's doing.
Okay.
Dom Izzo.
Jeez, come on, Dom. What do you think I am, a magician?
Yeah, I'm fired up, Dom. What else could I say?
Absolutely. It was great to get on the field, and then Dom came up to me, and I'm trying to walk away from me. I just wanted to enjoy myself out there.
Hot Mic.
Great job.
There's got to be some kind of intelligent question about something.
Coach Dom Izzo, WDAY in Fargo, North Dakota.
Can you give me a layup or something?
Hot Mic. Presented by Northwestern Mutual.
That program is second to none.
On the networks of WDAY.
You know, if it's not about sports, I find it very hard to concentrate.
Here's Dom Izzo.
Good Monday morning. Welcome to this Victory Monday edition of Hot Mic. Thanks for joining us, however you are. WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City, also streaming on Inform.com and the WDAY Plus app. I'm back. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo on this Martin Luther King Day. It's good to be back. Appreciate it. It's fun. I've already hammered my first thing of coffee. I promise this will be my only one in the morning. I go straight in the garbage, and that's going to stay there for a little bit. Yeah, I'm happy to populate that for a couple of days this week. You got me for a one-off this morning, and then I'll be back again on Friday. Dom's got the rest of the week, taking today off. So, good to be back in the big chair. Super busy weekend. Lot to get to. We'll touch on that in just a little bit. Hope you found a way to stay warm this weekend. I only elected to go from my apartment to the shack and then back to my apartment. I wasn't taking any chances. And I'm going to limit my mobility for this week, it seems like. Eric tells me it's not going to get any warmer. What'd you tell me a couple of minutes ago, Eric? Minus 15 on Saturday? First of all, I don't know why I'm asking you when we have a weather crew that I could go to, but that's pretty cold. So hope you find a way to stay warm. It's going to be chilly the rest of the way. Lot going on, lot to get to today. As I mentioned, Bison basketball had a monster day over the weekend on Saturday. We'll get a full recap of that just in a little bit. The NFC and AFC championships are set. Oh, by the way, the FBS National Championship is tonight. Believe it or not, in case you forgot about it, that's happening later on this evening. We'll have our usual suspects in this morning as well. Sam Herder will join us at the bottom of the hour to start the show this morning. A lot to chat about with him. Jeff Kolpack will join us at 10 o'clock. We got Bison football news. We'll get his thoughts on Bison basketball over the weekend as well. And excited for our guest we have later on this morning as well. At 10:35, Avery Koenen from the North Dakota State women's basketball team is going to join us, chat about their history-shattering win against South Dakota State over the weekend. So happy to have Avery on coming up later on this morning. And we'll have all that and more. Lot to get to. Hot Mic just getting started to get going with another new week. The winter continues to roll on. Let's dive right into business, shall we? Let's start with the huge day for Bison Hoops on Saturday. Now, I know I haven't been here for a long time, but I think it's safe to say that Saturday was the best day overall for Bison basketball, both men and women, for a long time. I think just individual days and with two performances that Bison fans got to witness, that was the best day in quite some time. Let's start by recapping the men's game because they had the tip-off first on Saturday. Had St. Thomas, both teams top of the Summit League Conference. It was billed as a heavyweight contest, and that's exactly what we got. Both teams with blistering starts to their conference play unbeaten. Let's roll the clips. This is what happened on Saturday afternoon inside of the shack between these two monster teams in the Summit League. Kick things off with Travion Carson collecting the steal up ahead to Markai Strickland in the first half. I will say, he's got to be one of the best in-game dunkers I've ever seen in person. He's fun to watch. Later on in the first half, Markai Strickland returning the favor to Travion Carson. He knocks down the 3. 4:30 left to go in half number 1. NDSU's up by 9 at this point after a 10-0 run. But Nick Janowski, he's a really good three-point shooter for St. Thomas. He stops the bleeding. Travion Carson would answer, however, at the end of the first half. That would tie the game up at 34. St. Thomas would take a 1-point lead into the break, and this is how the second half would start, with some fireworks. Trayson Anderson, loose ball rebound right to the rack. Trayson, he didn't get 20 in this game. He got 11, but that was allowed 11, and that dunk helped. Later on in the second half, Travion Carson again on fire from the three-point line. He had 4 threes in the game. Isaiah Johnson-Aregu, he's a great player for St. Thomas coming off of the bench. His 3 brings St. Thomas within 5. Later on, just a couple of minutes left in the second half. The steal, Stefanowicz over for Feddersen with a monster jam. Fantastic game off of the bench for Noah Feddersen. That kind of changed the momentum. I had a feeling at that point, all right, maybe North Dakota State has this one in hand. Travion Carson, again, with his 4th 3 of the game. St. Thomas would come back, and they fought back and made it a ball game late in the second half. But that 3 from Janowski couldn't get cleanly over the top of Feddersen, came up short, and North Dakota State would hold on. 68-65, the final score. NDSU still unbeaten in conference play, 6-0. They sit atop of the Summit League all alone. St. Thomas falls to 4-1 in conference play. Again, 68-65 the final. Really good all-around game for NDSU. That was a high-energy matchup for both of those teams on Saturday. If you were there at the Shack, which a lot of people were, that was a fun game to see. So NDSU gets the win. They're now 16-5 overall. St. Thomas is 15-5. Rest of the Summit League standings. North Dakota, look out for the Fighting Hawks. Pretty good start to the conference slate for them. They're 4-2. They got wins against South Dakota State and South Dakota recently. Look out for the Hawks. They're going to come to Fargo here after a little bit. South Dakota State at 4. South Dakota, depleted Coyotes team at 5. Denver, still sneaky. They're 2-3. And then the rest of the Summit League shapes out as Omaha, Kansas City, and Oral Roberts. After the game, this is what the guys from North Dakota State men's basketball had to say on their win against St. Thomas.
This is college basketball. Again, Tim Miles, one of my mentors, I say that mentor word lightly. He talked about a lot of reasons why he coached and the spirit and atmosphere that is college athletics. There's a lot of loose ends right now and not many guardrails, but when you get out there in that atmosphere like that, and just a credit to so many people Bison right now, and happy for our guys, happy for Emil Skuta, I'm happy for Noah Feddersen. I just said it on the radio. When we bring it up, it's Bison family, and you see a family. We've talked about the depth, the versatility, and that was on display this afternoon.
Does it feel like a game at March today?
It's January. It's got to be better out there, right? I know I wasn't pleased with some of our late game execution, some things and some free throws, but yeah, no, I mean, at the end of the day, Dom, there's 2 really good basketball teams going at it. I think they're a good team. I think we're a very good team. Obviously, we're going to face them at least one more time, but we're going to make sure right now we're present and enjoying this.
I think it was a lot more intense in the game against South Dakota State for sure, just because they're also undefeated in the conference, and they were the favorite to win preseason. So just us preparing and coach, instilling that energy in us early just brought into the game.
It's all about just the next play, I guess, just staying present, staying in the moment, even if you go down a lot, you just got to go play by play, stop by stop, and got intense. Crowd was getting into it, it was a fun environment, but just got to stay with it, stay present. The energy, sometimes we get, overhyped, and we got to calm down. But I've never played, with a crowd like this, so on my side at least. So to have that, it's amazing. It really gives us a boost.
Travion Carson finished with 16. That was a game high for North Dakota State. Another great all-around game for Travion Carson. 6 rebounds, 3 steals in there as well. Trayson Anderson, as I mentioned, he didn't continue his 20-point streak, but he had 11, flirted with the double-double, had 9 rebounds. And Emil Skuta, who you saw is still sporting that big black eye, he had 11 points off of the bench. I think it was the best game in a Bison uniform for Emil Skuta. He was really good in a big-time game. And if the bench is working, Emil Skuta played great. Noah Feddersen played great as well. The bench is working for NDSU. Look out. That's going to be a tough team to beat. So, to put a bow on things for men's basketball, 3,313 was the total attendance for NDSU's game on Wednesday against South Dakota State. That's a great number. Now, Dom and I had questions about how many people were going to show up on Saturday. Of course, that's not a huge build rivalry like NDSU, SDSU. The weather was not great, but still quite a few people showed up. 2,954. Which is a good number. Not as many as 3,300, but 2,900 is pretty good to fill up the Shack. So it sounds like the pleas were heard from us, from Coach Richmond, and the fans, and especially the students showed out, which is a major factor. Now, here's the deal. Don't stop now. Don't stop now going to the games. Just because the big dogs of the conference aren't coming back to the Shack, there's still good games coming up. Denver's coming to town soon. UND's going to come back to the Shack. Don't stop. Keep coming to the Shack because there's going to be some really good basketball the rest of the winter. Saw the conference standings again. North Dakota State at the top with St. Thomas right there. NDSU will have to go to St. Thomas and go to South Dakota State later on in February. Tip of the cap to what head coach Johnny Towers doing down in St. Thomas as well. Me being a southern Minnesota guy in the same region as St. Thomas, I think I'm still in a little bit of disbelief of where St. Thomas is at right now in their transition to the Division I and how efficiently and how successfully they've done it, especially when it comes to men's basketball. I still remember back to the days where they would battle it out with St. John's in Collegeville. What they're doing now is really impressive, and they're going to be a tough team to beat down the stretch. They have a lot of talent over there. We usually do it on a Monday or later on at some point in the beginning of the week. The updated bracketology is not out yet. That gets updated on Tuesdays and on Fridays. But in the latest Joe Lunardi's ESPN bracketology, NDSU was sitting as a 15 seed, and they were going to play number 2 Nebraska in the Oklahoma City region. We'll see what changes after this win. See if they get any sort of a boost, any sort of movement in the early projections to the NCAA tournament. We'll have to see. What confused me, NDSU only jumped 1 spot in the net rankings. They're now 135. St. Thomas fell 4 spots. They're now 120. So take that for what you will. But we'll see. Bracketology, again, gets updated tomorrow. I'm sure Dom will have an update on that. So that was the first game on Saturday to conclude for North Dakota State men's basketball. Over to the other side, North Dakota State women's basketball. Tip-off for that game was at 2 o'clock, and I could tell at the Shack, once 2 o'clock hit, I noticed a lot of people, at least the people that I was sitting around, the attention started to turn a little bit to that game and trying to multitask what was happening live and what was happening down in Brookings. For that monster matchup between North Dakota State and South Dakota State. This game, a lot on the line. SDSU a 67-game Summit League win streak. That's pretty impressive. Here's how it went down on Saturday afternoon. SDSU trying to hold on to that long win streak. Marissa Frost, a good bucket to make it 8-4 at this point. Avery Koenen, free throw line jumper, so good from the mid-range on Saturday. Monster game for her. We'll touch on that in a little bit. Lead now down to 3 for SDSU. Emily Fox with a good drive and finish. She ended the day with 8 points for the Jacks. 18-13 at this point in the second quarter. Koenen again backing down low on Brooklyn Meyer. Gets another mid-range jumper to go. Joshi Schiller was great from 3 in this game. Off of the inbound, she had 2 threes in a game where threes were hard to come by. 32-32, less than 30 seconds left to go in the second. That 3 would give SDSU the lead. They would take a 3-point lead into the break. Third quarter was all North Dakota State. Katie Vasika getting the bucket there. 5-point lead for NDSU, and this was a monster scramble. Sets up the open three for Marissa Frost. NDSU would outscore SDSU 24-10 in the third quarter. The Jacks did not score for the final 4 minutes of the third quarter. Third quarter was massive. In the fourth, Koenen, another tough take to the basket, finishes and gets the bucket and the whistle. Start to put the game out of reach. South Dakota State would come back a little bit, however, but it just wouldn't be enough after that three from Fox. NDSU goes on for the win to snap the win streak for South Dakota State, 76-68. 67 games in a row in conference play for South Dakota State. That is a long win streak, the longest active conference win streak in the country. That has now come to an end. And for North Dakota State, the last time they beat the Jacks, January of 2015. What were you doing in January of 2015? 4,031 days. That's how long it took for North Dakota State to get the win over SDSU. Eric tells me that was his first year of college. I'm going to make you feel old, Eric. I think I was in like third grade, fourth grade, something like that. The vibe in Fargo leading up to this game was that if there's ever a team that's going to knock off the Jacks and knock off this win streak, it's going to be this team. They just have to go and prove it. And that's exactly what they did. Really impressive. 24-game losing streak for North Dakota State. That snapped. First win in Brookings since 2010. What were you doing in 2010? I was 10 years old. I can tell you that much. Okay, let me correct myself. 2015, I was not in third grade. 2010, I was in third grade. 2015, I was probably, a sophomore, junior in high school. Eric, you got something? What do you want to add on this win?
Yeah, you said you were in third grade.
I was totally wrong.
My gosh, that makes me feel really old. I was
wrong.
like, what are you, 25? Are you 25?
Totally wrong. I got my dates flipped. 2010, I'm 26. 2010, I would have been in third grade. 2015, I was in high school. I know that for sure. I'm still waking up this morning. I apologize. But yeah, Eric.
Well, 2010, the Packers were winning a Super Bowl, and now they're extending Matt LaFleur. So
it's a tough go.
It's been a rough. And the Bills just fired Sean McDermott.
That is true. We'll get to that in a little bit. To go back onto this game, again, it was a 24-game losing streak NDSU had to South Dakota State. That's now snapped. First win in Brookings since 2010. And what's big about this one, South Dakota State, this isn't a team that was decimated by injuries. They had all their firepower. They hadn't been struggling this season. They were 14-4 and unbeaten in the Summit League coming up to this game. So if this win does not turn heads in the NCAA women's college basketball world, I don't know what does, because this is monster moving forward. Now, a couple of things stood out to me before we go to break here for North Dakota State. They shot 43% from the field. That's pretty good. 17-21 from the free throw line. Hit some big free throws down the stretch, which are ever important. That's pretty good as well. Out-rebounded the Jacks, 38-29. They held 17 second chance points. SDSU had none. All of that sounds like a winning concoction if you could ever make one up for North Dakota State. Also, by the by, Avery Koenen reaches 1,000 points in her NDSU career. We'll talk about that with her coming up later on this morning. Round of applause all around for North Dakota State, both men and women. 4,100 people there down at Brookings for that game. If you're a Bison fan sitting at home, take that as the gauntlet being thrown down. If they can get 4,100 down in their barn, you should try to get some big numbers up here and go check out NDSU women's basketball because they are cruising. What's their win streak up to right now? 14 games in a row? That's not bad. As you saw the conference standings, they're unbeaten, 5-0 in Summit League, 16-2. Now here's the deal. You get one win. Okay, that's all great and good. Can you do it again? More importantly, can you do it again later when tournament time comes around? This was cool. After the game, Jory Collins and the coaching staff and the players getting showered with celebratory water. That's the good kind of waterworks. Much deserved. Again, haven't won in Brookings since 2010. So to do it down there, That's a well-deserved celebration, no doubt about that. Now, the latest ESPN bracketology that came out last week, and again, gets updated on Tuesdays and Fridays. It didn't have NDSU in the bracket. They were one of the first 4 out. SDSU was an 11 seed. We'll see what flips with that. After the win on Saturday, the Bison, they're now up 3 spots in the net rankings to 41. It's a pretty good number. SDSU is at 48. We'll get more on this game. That's going to be the talking point of the morning. I can promise you that. We'll get more on this game coming up later on this morning when we get to our great guests. Speaking of which, let's get into our guest lineup, brought to you by Northwestern Mutual. It's a basketball-heavy day today. I will say that. We'll sprinkle in some football here and there. We'll sprinkle in that football at 9:35 when Sam Herder joins us in his usual time slot at 10 o'clock. Jeff Kolpack will join us, talk about these 2 basketball games, also some Bison football news. And as I mentioned at 10:35, Avery Koenen will join us as well, recap the game and her big-time performance in front of a huge crowd. She also had a lot of family in attendance, which was pretty cool, as she reached her 1,000th point in her NDSU career. So a lot more on that game coming up later on the show. We'll step aside for the first time here on this Monday morning. When we come back, we'll get into our Best of the Weekend, an NFL edition of the Best of the Weekend. That's coming up next on Hot Mike. All right, I'm going to break the rules. Usually on our Best of the Weekend, we like to keep things local to recap what happened over the last couple of days. But I'm breaking the rules since it's such a busy day today. I don't know when else in the show we're going to talk about the NFL. So let's look back at the top 2 games of the last couple of days in the NFL playoffs. We'll do the 2 overtime games. We'll start on Saturday. Buffalo and Denver. Looked like a beautiful day in Denver. Winner advancing to the AFC Championship. Josh Allen having some words with Broncos great Peyton Manning. That still pains me to say. Here's how this game went down. In the first, Josh Allen finding McCole Hardman for the touchdown. Bills would take the lead 7-3. At this point, they would go with that score into the second quarter. But Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos, they would answer. Nix to Frank Crum with a big man touchdown on a sidearm sling. Always fun to see. Broncos up 10-7 at that point. 29 seconds left in the first half. Broncos, 2nd and 10. Bo Nix, this guy's a pretty good quarterback. Deep ball downfield, caught for the touchdown, 17-10. Denver with the lead going into the break. In the second half, Keon Coleman with a stretch towards the goal line, somehow got the football across. That would count for a touchdown. So now it's 23-17 at this point. To the fourth quarter we go. Allen towards the end zone. What a catch by Dalton Kincaid. 24-23. Bills back on top. With a minute left to go in the fourth. Nix again, a deep ball hauled in over the shoulder by Mims. So that would make it 30-27. That's a big-time catch. Bo Nix, pretty good quarterback. It's tough to see him go. We'll explain what happened a little bit later on. So they would go to overtime. And after some back-and-forth play, Denver with an opportunity to win it on a short field goal, they would do so. 33-30. And the Denver Broncos back into the AFC Championship. The bad news in all of this, no Bo Nix. He broke his ankle. More on that in just a second. To our other top game over the weekend, Bears and Rams. At this point, Rams with the lead, but Caleb Williams and DJ Moore connecting. That would tie the game 7-7. 10-10 at this point. In the fourth quarter we go. It was pretty in the middle of this game, I will say. But Kyron Williams gets the score, 17-10 at that point. That's his second touchdown of the game. This was a huge stop on fourth down for the Rams. That would turn the ball over, but you can't give the Bears any time in the fourth quarter. They would get it with just under a minute left, and this was the most ridiculous play that you'll see. Caleb Williams finding Cole Kmet in the back of the end zone. I don't know how Watch this one again, folks. I don't know how he got this one off. Running 20 yards the wrong way, fade away to the back corner of the end zone, and it's on a laser into the arms of Kolpack. That would tie the game, and we would go into overtime. After the Rams have an empty possession, Bears get the football, and Williams, that negates his good touchdown throw. Throws a pick. That allows probably the MVP of the league, Matthew Stafford, to get the Rams in field goal position. And then Harrison Mevis. Who? Harrison Mevis with the game-winning field goal from 42 yards. And the Rams are moving on to the NFC Championship. The other two games, Seattle beat the snot out of San Francisco, 41-6. If you didn't watch that game, that's all right. It was a beatdown from start to finish. In the other game, Houston, New England, 28-16 win for New England. The story of that game, Houston and C.J. Stroud throwing 4 interceptions. Oh, that was tough to watch. Really tough to watch. But New England wins 28-16. So this is our AFC and NFC championship setup here. New England and Denver. And then on the other side, the Rams and Seattle. New England and Denver is the first game coming up on Sunday, 2 o'clock. That one will be on CBS. The AFC championship, the NFC championship, the Rams in Seattle, 5:30. That game is on Fox. So that's where we stand in the NFL playoffs. Bending the rules a little bit, but that's our best of the weekend over the last couple of days. So congratulations to those 4 teams. My Colts aren't in it, so I don't have a dog in the fight. But I will say, I think Seattle might take it. Pulling for our guy Gray Zabel and Jalen Sundell to get the job done. That'd be pretty cool if Gray won a Super Bowl in his first year, wouldn't it? Seattle looks like the real deal. That's my pick. That New England-Denver game, now that Bo Nix is out, he broke his ankle. And from what I saw or what I've seen is that it came in overtime, right? He was trying centering the ball, just a quick QB sneak over to the right side, and that's when the injury happened to his ankle. That's a tough way to go. But I think that game, New England-Denver, that's going to be rough. New England opens up at 5.5-point favorites going into the AFC Championship. Seattle at 2.5-point favorites. So that's where we stand in the NFL. We'll take a break here on this Monday morning. When we come back, we'll chat college football, FCS football with Sam Herder. That's coming up next as this Monday morning rolls on WDAY Extra. Thanks for joining us, however you are. WDAY Extra, KSFL TV in Sioux Falls, KNBN in Rapid City, also streaming on Inform.com. Happy to welcome in Sam Herder from Hero Sports and BetMGM to help put a bow on the transfer portal window and chat everything that's going on with FCS football. Sam, I appreciate you taking some time out of your Monday morning and joining us. Let's wrap up this last portal window. Closed on Friday. I want to start with NDSU. Of course, on the final day, they lose a guy that many thought were probably safe, probably thought he was safe and coming back for another year, but that's not the case. And I'm talking about Nathaniel Staling. Announced he was going to hit the portal. Also announced that he's going to Michigan, which is a pretty big deal. That's a tough blow. But now that the portal is over, I'm curious, what are your thoughts on NDSU football going into 2026? What are you looking out for?
Yeah, I think it'll be a really interesting offseason for the Bison. Lost a lot of really good seniors, and then, you could probably argue this is the toughest NDSU has been hit when it comes to the transfer portal. And, every year NDSU has lost 2, 3, 4, guys, 5 guys that are all impact players to the FBS. But it seems like they probably got hit the hardest this offseason just with some heavy hitters. I believe it's 8 starters that all ended up in the FBS. A couple of them are special teams, but, that's a very important third phase of the game as well, obviously. But, I think you look at just kind of next year in the overall outlook, it seems like maybe NDSU has more question marks going into next year compared to previous years, but we kind of said this last year too, where everyone else has a lot of question marks too. I mean, the only team that doesn't really have any question marks is Montana State, the defending champs, who they lost a couple of starting cornerbacks to the transfer portal, a starting offensive lineman to the transfer portal, but they only had 9 seniors. And so the Cats, some small question marks here or there, but they're pretty much intact. After that, Villanova and Illinois State lost a lot of seniors. Montana lost pretty much all of its defense and starting offensive line. South Dakota State brings back pretty much all of their best players, but they just lost in the second round. So it's one of those things where we can kind of look at NDSU and go, they got a lot of question marks. Like, where are they going to stack up? But it's like, well, everyone else except for one team in the FCS has question marks as well.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. 8 starters again, North Dakota State, that went onto the transfer portal and are advancing to the FBS level. We've talked about it on this show. There's a lot of talent coming back for NDSU. They just haven't had the playing experience. It'll be interesting to see how quickly they can acclimate to more playing time. But when you look at the guys that left and look at the schools that they're going, Michigan, Vanderbilt, Michigan State, Iowa, Florida State, Colorado, the list goes on. That's tough for FCS schools to compete when those kind of big-time Power 4 schools are in the mix.
Yeah, you can't really I don't know if you want to call it outbid or whatever you want to call it,
right.
but it still is important to have revenue sharing and NIL collective as well, just to get some money into the pockets of these guys. But when the big schools come calling, there are some guys that will turn down 6 figures or close to, if not over $1 million to stay at their school. I think there are actually a lot of examples of FCS guys doing that, turning down big money, whether it's NDSU players or there's a couple of Montana State players that did so, some South Dakota State players, that did so as well. But more often than not, that's life-changing money, and so you kind of, to a certain extent, understand it when guys are getting offered this level of money, and it's tough to really be able to keep those guys. So it seems like the overall payroll for the Power 4 continues to go up, even though technically they are capped with the revenue sharing.
Right.
But then they can sprinkle on NIL deals, on top of that. Now those NIL deals still have to go through the clearinghouse. I don't know kind of where that stands, if most deals are getting cleared regardless. But yeah, it's tough for the FCS. It's probably even tougher for the Group of 5. Like NDSU moving to the Mountain West, hypothetically that won't help with a transfer portal. If anything, you're probably more likely to get your top guys poached, just because the Power 4 is looking at top Group of 5 guys first, and then top FCS guys as well to kind of stack their rosters up. So it's just kind of the nature of the beast, and being a mid-major in this climate, you kind of just feels like you're a minnow swimming with a bunch of sharks, and those sharks are the Power 4. They're poaching all the best coaches and all the best players, and it's kind of just the way of life in the mid-major world.
And they strike at any time. I think that's what we've noticed over the last couple of years. You kind of answered it, but I was curious. Obviously, everybody's losing guys. Is there a team that, when you look back at this last transfer portal window, that really they lost a bunch of guys that kind of surprised you? Was there a team that stands out to you?
Yeah, Mercer. Well, I guess it's not really a surprise, but Mercer kind of got hit hard, and a lot of the guys they lost to Toledo, and that's where Coach Jacobs, their head coach, went to. And we've seen that plenty. Like when Deion Sanders left Jackson State, they lost a bunch of transfers to the FBS. Same thing last year with South Dakota State and Idaho, and UIW a few years ago when Coach Kinney left for the FBS. A lot of guys on that roster also left for the FBS. And so it seems like whenever a head coach leaves, that team usually ends up being at the top of the list when it comes to most guys that have left for the FBS. Sac State has gotten pretty hard. Same thing. Their head coach left to be the offensive coordinator at Colorado. Holy Cross, has gotten hit pretty hard as well. Weber State is an interesting one because they've lost double-digit guys to the FBS. Half of them go into Power 4 schools. In Weber State, went like 4-8 last year, and so you kind of look at that and go, okay, they had a bunch of talent on the roster. Is that a sign of like there's actually there's some good talent spread out pretty well across the FCS, or is the FBS just kind of looking at, hey, if you were a starter at the FCS level, you want to come here and we'll pay you $50,000 to be the backup linebacker or whatever? Like, I don't know what that tells you, but as you're kind of going down the list and you see Weber State has that many players going to the Power 4 into the FBS, and then you look at their record and you're like, well, I mean, I don't know how do they not win more games when they have that much Power 4 talent on their roster.
It's such an interesting conversation that these players have to have now, going from, like you mentioned, being a starter at the FCS level or getting paid potentially more money and being a backup. That's just the wild world of where we're at right now.
Yeah, and I mean the numbers don't lie as far as the success that FCS players have going to the FBS. There's a lot more instances of a guy, playing 800 snaps at his FCS school. He goes to the FBS and, maybe he plays 200 to 300 snaps, which is decent. You're a contributor, but you're not the guy. At the same time, some of these guys will take that if they're getting $500,000 to $1 million.
Yeah.
And I saw recently that some coaches were asking for the cap, the revenue sharing cap, which is currently $20.5 million. Some Power 4 coaches are saying there shouldn't be a cap at all, that we should be able to pay $40 to $50 million. And I see that and I'm like, these group of 5 and FCS players are going to get offered so much money to not only be the backup, but to be the third string, because a lot of these Power 4 schools, they're going to say, okay, we're a little thin at cornerback. We're going to bring in a couple of cornerback transfers, but let's go after the all conference cornerback from Akron, and then let's look at the all American FCS cornerback from Montana. Let's bring those guys in. They might not start for us, but guess what? We have these millions of dollars to pay them. And so I don't know. A part of me thought last year with the revenue sharing cap and then also the NIL clearinghouse that was going to help. There'd be less FCS to FBS transfers, and so far we do have fewer FCS to FBS transfers. We still have the rest of the offseason for guys to find landing spots, but I don't know. The money at the Power 4 level keeps on getting greater, and when that happens, it makes it more difficult for the FCS and the Group of 5 to be able to keep their guys.
Oh, man, if there's no cap, it's just going to be the Wild West, and we'll see the dwindle from there. That's just my opinion, but that's where I think it's going to head. On the flip side of that question of who got hit the hardest, I'm curious, who do you think did well in acquiring guys at the FCS level in the transfer portal? And I know that's a tough thing to track because you get a better answer after the season is done and you've seen these guys play. But is there a team that grabbed some guys that stood out to you?
Yeah, it's always hard to know right now, like you said, especially when it comes to FBS to FCS transfers. Most of those guys haven't played a whole lot. Now, like if you really want to get into the weeds, you can look at the FBS to FCS transfers, and some of those guys played at the FCS 2 years ago and were impact players. They went to the FBS last year, didn't really do much, and now they're coming back to the FCS. And, an example of that is South Dakota got a transfer. Proctor is his last name. And he spent a little bit of last year at Northern Illinois. I'm not sure exactly what happened. He was only there for 4 games, Jackson Proctor. So maybe he was there for 4 games, then he wanted to maintain his red shirt, and then he ended up leaving the school. But 2 years ago, Proctor was starting quarterback for Dartmouth and went like 8-2, put up pretty decent stats, and now he's going to South Dakota. And so you look at an FBS to FCS transfer like that, and you kind of view him more as an FCS to FCS transfer because, he's shown the ability to have an impact at the FCS level. So kind of a mixed bag when it comes to FBS to FCS guys. And then the FCS to FCS list, there are some guys who maybe started a lot of games at the FCS level and now they're landing at another, FCS spots. Those guys are, guys to look at as well. And, I wish I could track non-D1 transfers to the FCS because most of the time those guys have a bigger impact. Right. But now we're talking D3, D2, NAIA, JUCO guys. I mean, those guys are coming in by the hundreds to the FCS level. And there's a lot of schools. I mean, NDSU had a defensive end a few years ago that came from, I think, the D2. South Dakota State has found a lot of success finding D2 guys to come to their school. So those guys are also definitely worth monitoring. It's just hard to put them all in one spot.
Right, and we'll monitor that here in NDSU as well. They went that route, going to the Division II and moving them up. NAIA moving them up as well. They went that route, it looks like, this season in the transfer portal window, so we'll keep our eyes on that. Again, Sam Herder from Hero Sports and BetMGM joining us for a couple of more minutes. I'm curious, last week after you went off the air here on this program, the news went down that FBS coaches voted unanimously to adjust the red shirt rule from 4 games to 9 games. Now, I know there's more approval that has to go down with this process, but when you hear that news, what was your reaction to that?
Yeah, it kind of just seems like they're moving toward being able to play 5 years, or 5 seasons in 5 years, where they're going to get rid of red shirts and medical hardships, medical red shirts, and all that, and just say, yeah, 5 years, and you can play as many games as you can in those 5 years. It kind of seems like, because I asked the question on Twitter, if you're going to go from 4 years of fully playing plus 4 years you can play in your red shirts, now you can play 4 years, fully, and then 9 years or 9 games and be able to maintain your red shirt. I just asked the question, why not just move right to 5 to 5?
Right.
And I think like there's some either ongoing lawsuits or court cases right now that they can't fully go to 5 years and 5 years just because of those court cases. And once they, even when they increase it from 4 games, to 9 games or whatever they end up deciding to do, there's probably going to be even more lawsuits, coming in because a guy's going to say, I played 7 years my true freshman year, and then I only had 3 more years to play. Like, I should be able to get that year back. And so, I don't know, the eligibility stuff is kind of
it's so crazy.
It causes a lot of headaches, but I don't know. Hopefully, eventually they get to a spot where they can kind of settle on something and then just be able to maintain it instead of having guys year after year challenging it. And it does seem like you can't really keep track of them all, but it does seem like the NCAA has won a good amount of their eligibility cases, which is good for the NCAA as just being able to enforce, like, hey, this is what it is. But I don't know. Well, I think eventually they'll move to being able to play 5 years or 5 seasons in 5 years. But I think we're kind of slowly making our way toward that.
They turned down Trinidad Chambliss, which was one of the reasons why this 5 for 5 is being delayed. I never thought I'd see the day for that. Also surprised to see TJ Finley is he on his 7th team now? He started playing back in 2020, and he's going to Incarnate Word. And like you mentioned, it seems like we're getting to the model where those type of players we won't see in the future, potentially, I guess is the best way to say.
Yeah, most likely. There are so many examples of guys that are bouncing around from team to team, and I mean, a high majority of college football aren't playing in the NFL, and so there is something to be said about still getting your degree. And I mean, I had friends in college that weren't athletes at all, and they went from one school to another just once, and I remember they were talking about 25% of my credits didn't transfer to this new school. And so like it set me back one semester. And just imagine going from school to school, 5 different schools in 5 years. Like, how do you progress toward, a degree? And I know in today's day and age of college football, especially at the Power 4 level, people aren't really thinking of that. But when you see those graphics of, UIW gets a transfer commit from this FBS player, then you see the graphic and it says 4th school in 4 years, and it's not just UIW. Obviously, it's a lot of schools. It's like, how is this guy even on track to graduate?
Oh, I know.
Once he's out of eligibility, like, then what are you going to do? You want a college degree to set yourself up from there. So I think freedom to move around more has been good for college football players, but it's swung so far in a bad direction that there definitely needs to be some sort of more guardrails, on there. And when the transfer portal initially started, there were guardrails, on there, a good amount of them, but then court cases kind of just overruled one guardrail after another. And hopefully somehow things can kind of swing back the other way, where it's more in the middle instead of you can't move at all or else you get punished, or you can move to a new school every single year without punishment. Like, there should be some sort of middle grounds in there.
No, I totally agree with you. I got one more before we let you go, and I know it's not FCS, but FBS. You got a winner pick for tonight, Miami or Indiana?
I don't really know a whole lot about either team. I would probably lean Indiana just because they seem like the heavy favorites. Familiar with Kurt Signetti there. Interviewed him once. I know Marty Brown is on Miami. I think they might have another FCS player. I can't remember specifically, but yeah, I watched probably 2 games total of both of those teams when I was in the semifinal. But yeah, it seems like Indiana is a wagon, and they're probably favored to win. So in my mind, I'm like, well, I'll go with Miami then, because I just want to see an upset and the underdog story. I usually root for the underdog if I usually don't have any interest in the winner or the loser.
I agree. I'm on your boat, too. It'd be cool to see Marty get back-to-back national championships. You never seen that before, FCS and then FBS championship. That's a pretty neat storyline to follow.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I that's got to be correct.
Yeah.
Back-to-back national champions at different subdivisions. So yeah, that'd be a cool finish for him this season.
Sam, I appreciate it. Thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll see you back here next Monday.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
No problem. Sam Herter from Hero Sports and BetMGM joining us here on this Monday. Again, Miami and Indiana, the national championship coming up later on this evening. I think Dom put it out on Inform.com that if Miami does get the win, Marty Brown would be the first to get an FCS national championship and then an FBS national championship. I haven't had a chance to read his article. I should probably do that during the commercial break. But if that is the case, that would be pretty cool. But Indiana is tough. And to cap off that 5-for-5 potential, but with the eligibility going up to 9 games for 4 potentially, it still has to get approved by the NCAA Division I committee. I totally agree with him. I think that may open up a can of worms of more lawsuits down the road, because I could definitely see a world where more players say, well, if they were able to do it in the past, how come I can't do it now? That's where I'm at. I do think the 5-for-5 model is best. I think there is a point where got to move players on to get more players in. We'll see. But again, that 4 to 9 game eligibility for the red shirt, that still has to be approved by the NCAA Division I committee. So we'll see what happens down the road from there. We'll chat more on the national championship and more on Bison football coming up in a couple of minutes. Jeff Kolpack will join us at 10 o'clock. Also, Avery Koenen joining us at 10:30 as well. That's coming up later on this morning. Hot Mike returns after this. Wrapping up hour number 1 of this Monday morning edition of Hot Mike. A chilly one here today. Stick around. Hour number 2 coming up. Jeff Kolpack and Avery Koenen joining us as the win continues on. Hot Mike rolls on after this.
This is Hot Mike.
Hot Mike.
On the networks of WDAY. Here's Dom Izzo. It's that time. An author.
Offensive production, number 1. Number 2. Forgot.
Golfer.
It'd be like going on a 3-person best shot, and we were saying, Kolpack, you got to make a 25-footer every time. You wouldn't putt first. I'd have Tim putt first.
And one heck of a TV personality.
This game is for the Cooper Cup.
It's the Forum's Jeff Kolpack.
4. I should have yelled 2.
Here he is, Jeff Kolpack, joining us on a Monday morning. His appearance is brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. How are you? You staying warm?
Staying warm, yeah. You know, it occurred to me on the way in this morning, I go through 3 four-way stops.
Yeah.
You learn a lot about people in that instant at the four-way stop, because the first one I get, there's this young woman who, we get there about the same time, but she just runs right through. Hardly looks at me. All she cares about is herself.
Okay.
All she cares about
we're
herself.
calling her out here.
Yep.
How many did you slide through?
No, I didn't slide. So the next one I get to, and we get there about the same time. And we're almost arguing, like, you go first.
Yeah, one of those. I do that all the time.
Yep. And then last week I ran into one where it was obvious the other person got there first, but they wave you through.
Oh.
And I don't know what to think about that. Either they're the most friendliest, giving people in the world, or they don't trust you.
I wouldn't
could
trust
be either
you.
way.
If I saw you roaming around in an icy street like these people probably did, there's
So
Jeff.
anyway,
We got to let him go.
In that instant at the four-way stop, you learn a lot about people.
You do.
There's your lesson for the day.
I slid through a couple of stop signs over the last couple of weeks. It's pretty icy out in West Fargo, I will say that. I got an email that said it's negative 40 wind chill until noon today.
Oh.
That's always fun.
Yep.
Well, let's talk business here. What'd you think of the weekend? Bison basketball, pretty big weekend. Start with the women in the game in South Dakota State. What was your reaction when you saw the final score?
Was I surprised? Mildly, I guess, just because it's tough to win down there. And, here's the thing about these two Bison basketball teams now. Now you're almost shifting to, can they handle success?
Right. Yeah, that's a fair point.
Because you break that streak at South Dakota State. Do you feel like you're just great and everything's going to roll, or are you going to continue to get better? And that's a test of a mature team. Football has done a great job of that in the last decade.
Right.
They handle success. That's how you win 10 titles. You put the previous game or the previous title to rest, and then you move on. So we'll see if they can do that. The Bison men, again, the same thing.
Yeah.
To do what they've done, beat St. Thomas, have won some close games. Seems like they have the good vibe, good mojo. Can you keep that going, or are you going to just go, we're pretty good.
Yep.
I don't know if I'm going to work as hard. And I think Dave addressed that in a way after the St. Thomas game and just said, it's my job on Monday.
Right. Get the fire back underneath them. And this game on Saturday, you're seeing some of the highlights here between North Dakota State and South Dakota State. And I agree with you. Winning is one thing. Snapping that 67-game Summit League win streak, that's one thing. Haven't won or beaten NDSU since 2015. Yeah, obviously that's great. It deserves its flowers, no doubt. That's a huge game. But what's important, can they do it when tournament time comes around? And that goes to your point of maintaining the success.
Yeah, but the team can't worry about that now.
Yep.
I mean, you just got to worry about this week and those things. But I like this team. Again, I've said it every week on this show that it's Jocelyn Schiller has been the difference.
She had 2 big threes in that game. There's no doubt. What did she finish with? 14 points, and Marissa Frost had 14 as well.
It's not so much the stats, but I mean, I think you look
Winning
at Avery
plays.
Koenen and ask Avery Koenen when she's on here in a little bit that, one of the big differences is they don't have to worry about getting the ball across half court and getting the offense going and getting into sets. And it's set up Avery Koenen to have her double-doubles that she's had all these years.
Right.
Or all these games, and I think it starts with the point guard.
Yeah, no doubt, especially when you get Schiller and Frost on the floor. The ball handling and where the ball is going to go, that is the last thing that's on their mind because they're comfortable when those two are up there. Throw in Molly Lenz as well, who can knock down the 3 ball. All around, it is a really good team. And when the bench is firing too, this is really, really impressive. You mentioned Avery Koenen, another big game, double-double, 26 points. I think she's got to be favored for Summit League Player of the Year right now.
No question. Yeah. Absolutely. No question. Just based on how she's elevated this team and this program from last year. Pretty good year last year, making the run in the WNIT. Was it? Yeah, the WNIT.
Yeah, WNIT. Yep.
And there's 4 tournaments. So
I know
that
they keep adding on. The BIT is the other big one now.
But they've elevated their game. She's elevated her game. And, sticking around, obviously the collective has helped retain her.
That's huge.
Is what I understand. We'll see if they can do it another year.
Well, yeah, right, because she's still young. She still has plenty of eligibility.
Well, she has one more year.
Yeah.
But Brooklyn Meyer stayed at South Dakota State, so they must be, there must be some worth there.
Right, exactly.
Or maybe the value of mid-major players in women's game isn't like football.
Maybe it's a little different. Yeah, I guess I haven't really looked at the market for college women's basketball to see what that is. But if they can hold on to Avery Koenen, that's a win because, as you mentioned, she went from a double-double here and there last season to where it's automatic, double-digit points, double-digit rebounds.
Yeah, I just think they had Al Evans still.
Yeah, right.
Pretty good team.
Right, exactly.
I mean, it's a good team. It'd be a really good team.
Right. Then there would be no doubts as to what's going on. Of course, they still got to play South Dakota State again in the regular season, and then most likely, if they want to make the tournament, they got to play SDSU again. You've been around longer than I have, and I'm not the greatest historian.
Boy, there's thanks, Captain Obvious.
That's well, I asked Eric what was he doing back in 2010. I think I said I was in.
Were you born yet?
Well, I was born.
Yeah.
I was 10 years old. I was in like whatever grade you were in 10 years old. What were you doing in 2010?
What was I doing in 2010? I was covering a football run to Eastern Washington, and I don't know.
I was practically still in diapers.
Covering a pretty good men's team after the 2008, 2009 run. That's when the program really started to take off.
Yeah. Well, we'll get to the men here in just a second. But my point being, since you've been around longer than I have,
covering a really bad women's team, I'll tell you that.
Is this the biggest win for women's basketball in the D1 area, or has there been
for now?
For now, yeah.
Yeah.
I was wondering.
Well, I mean, was it big when they beat them, 10 years ago? I don't know.
I imagine, but now that the streak was what it was, and all these storylines around it, is anybody going to beat SDSU in the Summit League? That's what I was curious about, and I would think it is, at least for a very long time. You were at the men's game on Saturday, North Dakota State getting the 3-point win against St. Thomas. Was there anything that stood out to you from Richmond's squad in that game?
Just another gritty effort that they do. They have. They're athletic. They work hard. They're good defensively. They won despite Damari being off. I mean, what was he? 1 for 9.
Yeah, 1 for 10. But that one was big. That one
late in the
end
game.
Of the game. Yep.
Then he missed 2 free throws. I would have iced it.
That's true.
But you can be off offensively. That happens, obviously. But you can't defensively.
No.
And so I think they've embraced that. I love it when they go to that half-court trap with Markai Strickland out front, 6'6" at the point.
And can jump out of the gym.
And with a huge long wingspan. It's a fun defense to watch. Even if you're all about offense, you got to at least appreciate when they throw that at teams, because that's fun to watch.
Right. They had 9 steals again against a really good St. Thomas team who doesn't really turn the ball over that much. At least they hadn't going into this weekend. They struggled at UND a little bit turning the ball over, and then a little bit with North Dakota State. But, yeah, I never thought watching defensive basketball would be fun, but you're exactly right. I mean, that's the case here.
And Trevian Carson continues just to impress with his overall game.
Oh, I know. All around.
I mean,
really
Trayson Anderson, who was hot going in, 3 straight 20-point-plus games, wasn't that great offensively. I think they limited him, to 10 or something like that. But Trevian Carson just shows up in so many ways.
Yeah.
Just a complete ball player.
Well, just to go off of that from the last game, 16 points, 6 rebounds, 2 assists, a block, and 3 steals.
Yeah,
I mean,
he just fills up the stat sheet.
It's like that every single game. Trevian Carson's been a monster find. I don't know how many people passed up on him when he was out of high school looking to go to college, or vice versa, going from JUCO to Division I. I mean, that's a huge get.
Reminds me of you on the pregame show. 10 good points, 2 stutters only, 3 odds.
2 stutters is generous.
Yeah.
2 stutters is generous.
You just fill up the stat sheet in the pregame show.
I'm a stuttering kind of guy. I'm not going to wow anybody, but I'll spread the ball around. That's my role, and I accept that. I'll take that Trevian Carson comparison. Trayson Anderson again, really good. All around. And then Emil Skuda and Noah Federson, I felt like had their best games.
Noah's coming
off
on.
The bench.
Yeah, Noah was really in the tank there for a while, and when Trayson took over in the starting lineup, and Dave said after the game he's going through some things, probably confidence-wise, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Looks like and sounds like he's getting it back.
Yeah, it does. He had that big dunk that really changed the momentum in the last couple of minutes.
Got a little more aggressive down low a couple times, which he
did the last couple of games. He was driving to the basket more against South Dakota State as well, which was good to see. I thought his perimeter defense on Janowski in the last minute of the game was the game sealer. I thought that was really good to hold a 3-point shooter that.
And he was on, too.
Yes,
he had a couple deep ones before that.
He was knocking down threes, and he had an opportunity to tie the game. I'm a big fan of Emil Skuda. I love his story. I love his story. I love his play. Down low, he can get a basket, and the fact that he's sporting a black eye as well, I think that looks pretty cool.
Well, I led with that. It just seemed like his type of game. He reminds me of an MMA fighter out there. He
looks like one too. He's a big, strong guy.
I would not want to get in the ring with that guy.
Oh no,
last 5 seconds.
No, I interviewed him a couple of weeks ago, talking about just about everything under the sun, the geopolitical landscape of the world, what Finland is like. I'll put that story up on inform.com a little bit later on. But he's one of the more interesting people that I've met, and it's good to see that he's going on a good stretch here. One more before we go to break on Bison basketball. The fans at the games the last week here, that's been really cool to see. I know it's not BSA numbers or anything, but that's a pretty big deal.
It's a good effect. I mean, it might not be 5,000 like they used to get, but almost 3,000 sounds pretty good, and it's a lot more than most get at the mid-major level. And they've had an effect. The energy, it feels
it's fun
different. To cover. I was telling Dom
Right.
last week, it's fun to cover games in that environment.
Yeah.
Because things are happening.
Oh, absolutely. Especially when you get a big student section in there and they're loud. 3,300 against SDSU and 2,900 against St. Thomas.
And what will the UND doubleheader be?
That's going to be quite a bit, I feel like. But here's the thing. Okay, we can't just wait until the UND doubleheader. You got to keep showing up because I know it's not the top dogs in the conference coming up here, at least on the men's side, I should say, but keep continuing to show up because it can play an impact.
It does, and the players said as much. I found it interesting when Emil Scuttle said after the game, he goes, I've never played in, and he came from Sac State.
Mm-hmm.
I've never played in an environment like that, like this year and a couple times, where there's been that many on your side.
Right.
So I wonder if they must just be Deadsville at Sac State.
What I was thinking, too, because he played professionally in Finland when he turned pro at like 16. And I don't know what Finnish basketball is like, but when he said that, I was thinking, I wonder,
that's probably,
I wonder if there's some crowds
few
there.
hundred in there.
But I don't think Sac State's drawn massive crowds or anything for basketball. Maybe now that they're making their moves, but we'll see. So, again, we'll have Avery Koenen on here in a couple of minutes, chat about the women's win over South Dakota State in just a little bit. Let's take a break. When we come back, we got some more Bison football news I want to get to with Jeff and some other news around college football we'll get to as well. That's coming up when we come back on Hot Mic. Back with Jeff Kolpack on this Monday morning.
So at a four-way stop, which one are you?
Which one
are you the one that just busts right through and it's all about you?
I am definitely the... Well, one, because isn't the rule like first person on the right? You go to the right.
Yeah. You play it by the rules.
I play but I always forget who is there first, so I'm waving everybody. I'm the problem, I will say. I sit there.
So you're the one. Even if I got there first, you'd wave me through.
Pretty much, because I'd forget if I got there first or if you got there first.
So you're stupid.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you're just finding that out now.
Yeah. Well.
It took you this long?
Let's get on.
I'm too nice on the road. I'm geography challenged, as Eric
Geographical
says.
challenge.
Yeah, there you go. See, just adding to it. No, I'm not the brightest bulb in the tree. I will say that. Bison
makes
football
two of
news.
us.
There you go. Bison football news. Last week, it dropped down. Jim Kramer, a legendary strength and conditioning coach for North Dakota State, announced his retirement. Not the biggest surprise by any means, but it definitely a blow for Bison football, wouldn't you say?
I knew it was coming down the line here sooner than later, and not because, with no other reason, it's such a tough job with the hours.
Right.
I mean, what was his quote to me? I asked him, we met at Randy's Diner.
No, there you go.
I asked him, I go, so what are you going to do? And he goes, well, I know what I'm not going to do. I'm not going to get up at 5 a.m. and work till 9 p.m. I'm not going to do that. So that's it's part of the job, you know, and they know it and they understand it. The thing about Jim, and I wrote about today, is, I mean, it's not like strength training is this big secret. I mean, they all pretty much do the same stuff. Mm-hmm. He just has that ability to make his kids work harder and maybe put more into it and just get more out of it. And I think Ryan Napoli is every bit that guy, too.
I agree.
Who's taken over for Jim. Ryan actually kind of already took over in a lot of ways this year. So
transition
not like
period,
they're,
it felt like.
Yeah, not like they're throwing resumes. Hey, who wants to take this job? Well, that's been decided.
Yep.
Probably since the day Ryan came here in Napoli.
I would assume, the story with Ryan Napoli, we've gotten the chance to get to know him over the years. He was here and then went to SEMO to kind of get the feel of running a full weight room by himself and kind of that Jim Kramer role down there, and then came back with the plan to take over for Jim once he decided to retire.
And I told this story last week that when Jim got here in 2004, when Craig Bull hired him, he moved right next door to me. He was right next door. I thought, this is great. I got the strength coach right there. I'll bring a couple beers over. We'll sit on the patio. He'll tell me about football and the program. I never saw him.
Oh.
Well, he's always working.
He's a busy guy.
He's always working. I never saw him.
And you're a busy guy, too. You're
not
always
that busy.
Well, you don't have the wake up at 5 a.m., go to bed at 5 a.m.
And eventually, moved away to another place. But, yeah, I never saw the guy. I'm like, that didn't work out like I thought it would.
I had the opportunity to watch Coach Kramer and Coach Napoli work out the freshman group this last season. And that's something. That's quite the experience to witness. And to go off your point, they definitely have a way to find that motivation and make them go the extra mile. And I think it's really cool. All these former players, and all the kind words they've had to say about Coach Kramer and how much they've meant to all the NFL guys that have moved on and all the guys that made big body transformations while they were here at North Dakota State. It says a lot about what he's done in his tenure.
Or you talk to other coaches who have been other places and really other players too transfer in. And almost to the man, they say it's really not like that in most places.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kids just don't work that hard as they do here.
Right.
And I think, South Dakota State and Montana State could probably tell you the same thing. It's just a little better work ethic in the Midwest when it comes to football players and strength training. That's a general vibe I get.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. And it just goes to show the difference a good strength and conditioning program can have on a football program and continue to success.
10 titles. I mean, the reason, and you talk to a lot of people, and I wrote it in my Horns Up book, almost a decade ago now that came out. Probably need to do Horns Up too. That was after
you might
5.
as well now.
We're
We're turning new leaves every time.
Yeah,
every time we turn around.
But a lot of players will tell you Jim Kramer was the glue.
Yeah.
And he was the consistent and the common denominator between Craig Bohl, Chris Kleiman, Matt Entz, and Tim Polisic.
Right.
He was always there. And he was around the players certainly more than the coaches because the coaches have them during the season, but then he has them during winter workouts.
Mm-hmm.
Then he has them during spring football a little bit. Then he has them in summer workouts, talk about the strength coaches. And you're also there during the season.
Right.
So you're always there.
Absolutely.
And so when these coaches move on, the players really don't know a whole lot of difference because they still have the same strength coach, the same routine, and the same way of going about things.
Yep, no doubt. It's a busy year-round schedule. Best of luck to Coach Kramer in his retirement. You got him and Randy Hedberg now enjoying retirement as well, and Ryan Napoli's going to be just fine in that weight room. There's no doubt. Other Bison football news from last week. Nathaniel Staling, at the last moment, enters his name into the portal and then commits to Michigan. What was your reaction to that?
Well, blindsided the coaches.
Yeah,
I know that.
I know that
because they found out of, I think, the night before on Thursday night.
Okay.
And Friday was the last day of the portal. I'm sure he got 600,000-700,000, I would guess.
Yeah, if not more.
To be a starting linebacker at Michigan, assuming he's going to start. I would imagine.
I would
assume. Pretty hard not to take that.
It's hard to turn down, like I spoke with Sam Herder about, Michigan, Colorado, Iowa, Florida State, Vanderbilt, the list goes on. It's hard to turn down those
I do know it
schools.
wasn't an easy decision for him. I mean,
well, yeah, I would.
He's
I
a
would
team
bet.
captain, and
he's got,
not like he goes, "I'm out of here, see ya."
Right, and what's good is that he graduated from here. He spent his time, which you don't see a lot of, or going forward you won't see a lot of. But good on him to go to the Big Ten, go to a Michigan team that has had their struggles on and off the field over the last couple of years. We'll see what happens with Nathaniel Staling. I would assume he'd be a starting guy. I would be surprised if he wasn't. He's a freak of nature athlete. We saw that last year for sure in that linebacker position. I think he'll do fine. My question to you is there some panic going into 2026 for Bison football?
No, they got
not
players. Yeah, they got players. Not like they lost these guys after spring football, so they got players. I think in talking to Ryan Napoli during this season, that they really love their true freshman class, their athleticism.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But now you gotta coach them up quick.
Right. Well, that's the thing.
That's what spring football's for.
How quickly can they acclimate to playing more?
The one question, and I think they have some young D-backs and corners. They'll be good at safety. I mean, they got the safeties back. Crumby's being back, and Taylor Needy.
Right.
I think offensive line with Babbitts, he'll fill in fine.
Right. Magan's still around. They got some guys.
I wonder if they'll switch MP to center. That's a guess of mine.
Yeah, we'll
that's
see.
a possibility. And so, but the question is middle linebacker now.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what you do there.
Well,
is Alex Elliott big enough to?
He's
to
a big
fill in?
guy.
No, he hasn't played.
That's true. He's coming off of injury.
Peter Halgo
hasn't played really since high school.
Is there somebody that can get to 225, 230?
We'll see. We'll see. Gavin Sell's going to be in that linebacker mix as well. He played a little bit towards the end of the season. They're pretty
and
high
Donovan
on him.
Woolen. I mean,
Donovan Woolen's a big keep. I should say.
Is he? I don't know. Can one of those guys go in the middle, or is there somebody else that? Yeah. I think that's a number one question by a mile.
Yeah, what's the linebacker going to look like through spring football? What do you think? National championship game tonight, Indiana-Miami. You got to pick for that
Indiana
game?
by 2 scores.
By 2
yeah,
scores.
I mean, I didn't realize this till the last few weeks that Indiana, they're old. I mean, you talk about the portal. Their average age is like almost like a young NFL team. I mean, they got guys who are 23, 24.
Right.
They're old and experienced. Now you're playing in Miami. I don't know if it'll. I mean, there's plenty of Hoosier Red, I'm sure, made their way to Miami.
I bet, even though the game is in Miami, it's a home game essentially for the Canes. It's not like it's Mendoza's first year throwing a football.
No.
He was around at Cal and then made his way to Indiana. He looks like the real deal. I'm hoping to see a good game from Marty Brown. I hope they throw him out there a little bit. I'm surprised how much they've utilized him in this playoff run.
Yeah.
Based on how much they didn't use him at the end of the season.
It's amazing for Indiana, though, that Indiana.
Yeah.
It's Indiana.
The
I thought about
turnaround.
this. My father has been gone for, 33 years. And what if he were to come back for one day and go, Indiana's in the national football game?
Right.
Need to get back up. I'm going back.
Mind-blowing he would be. Yeah.
It'd just be
crazy to see this.
And basketball? No, football.
Right.
Football.
Right.
Yeah.
And the fact that it started with Kurt Signetti and the JMU guys turning around and it
I
snowballed.
still can't get that out of my mind. Him whining at the Fargo Dome.
Oh, I know.
Well, we should have had the home game.
I know. I'm sure that's long out of his memory now based on everything that's happened. Last one before I let you go. Is Gray's Able going to win a Super Bowl in his first year?
I think so. My brother's a Seattle resident, and so we were texting on over the weekend. And I go, your Hawks are going to win it again.
I think so. They look really good.
Yep.
Gray's looking really good, too.
FCS title. And Marty Brown, if they win, FCS title to FBS title.
You don't see that every day.
That's got to be a first. I think it's
who
a
knows?
first.
I haven't read the article. Dom's got one up on inform.com. I think on there it says
Dom's working?
He's the first. He's working from
shocking.
home. Oh, you called the shot. I think he's watching, so watch your tongue.
Dom.
Or else he'll be coming back for you.
What do you got going today? You got make dinner while we're working?
Yeah, because we're really
enjoy your time off.
Putting the pedal to the metal today, that's for sure. Well, I appreciate you coming in. I'll let you go enjoy the cold for a little bit.
All right, and you check those 4-way stops.
I
you
will.
learn a lot about people.
All right, don't slide through any. Don't ding anybody on your way out the door. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, Avery Koenen joins us for the last half hour of the show. Talk about North Dakota State's win over South Dakota State. That's coming up next on Hot Mic. Back on a chilly Monday morning, Hot Mic rolls on to start off another week. Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo. It's been the hot topic of conversation today. North Dakota State's win over South Dakota State on Saturday, snapping their Summit League win streak at 67 games. Happy to welcome on our next guest, Avery Koenen, joining us to talk about that game. Her appearance brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Avery, I got to ask you, have you and the team, have you guys come down from the high of that game on Saturday yet?
Yeah, I mean, not yet, I don't think. That's the kind of games that you work hard to play in, and to get the win, especially at an away game like that against a great team, it's super special. So, we'll be soaking that one in.
We've been talking about this morning. Last time NDSU won in Brookings was 2010. Do you remember where you were or what you were doing in 2010?
I was 5 years old, so definitely a while ago. So it's just kind of crazy to think about, honestly.
Yeah, there's no doubt. That'll definitely make Eric in the back feel old. I was trying to think. I was in like third or something grade at that point. I can't remember exactly. But let's talk about the game. Describe what it was like playing in that environment of 4,000 fans. And ultimately, how were you guys able to pull out the win?
Yeah, I think just sticking together as a team and as a group. We talk a lot about how we've matured and how we're more mature now, and to just go on the road in that kind of environment, that's a great place. They have a great home crowd that comes and supports them, and you can see that and you can feel that energy. It was super loud, and but it's so much fun to play in, and soaking in every moment that we got to be on the floor together and just go out, and I thought we played great. So
I wanted to ask you, at half, guys are down by 3, come out in the third quarter and just light it up. 24-10, you outscored SDSU in the third quarter. What was the difference to start the second half?
Yeah, I honestly think a lot of the nerves kind of settled, playing in that environment, like I just said. It's kind of hard, especially maybe for our younger players to kind of get used to that. I thought we all handled it well still, but we were able to settle in more in the second half and just go out and continue to play like ourselves and play with confidence like we know we're able to. And I don't know if we even thought we played our best in the first half, but knowing that we are capable of being better and we held ourselves to that standard, and I was, proud of how we handled it.
You had another fantastic game, another double-double, 26 points, obviously over double-digit rebounds as well. Was there a point in the game where you guys thought, okay, I think today's the day. I think we're going to pull this one out. Was there ever a point, or when the final buzzer sounded, you guys could take a sigh of relief?
Yeah, I mean that team it's a great team, so obviously not until like the very end does it kind of hit. But I do think that we went in with total confidence that we could win. I kept saying like today's the day. Like, we all just kind of had a great feeling going into the game, and knowing that and having a whole team that believes that you can win. That just can give you so much confidence going out and playing, especially in those environments. So it took our whole crew to kind of believe and step into that game with confidence, and we did that, and it turned out in our favor in the end.
We're looking at your highlights here, and of course, the stats from Saturday: 26 points for you, 13 rebounds, 10 of 17 shooting. Going up against a really good player in Brooklyn Meyer for South Dakota State. What was your mindset going into the game, knowing it's going to be two of the best post players in the league going one-on-one here on last Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, she's a great player. Obviously, everyone can see that. I respect her a ton and what she's been able to do for their program and her time there. So, obviously, just going into that game knowing what I'm also capable of and what my team's capable of, I think that we have a great team and a great team that supports me. And you can't go into those games against teams like that and just expect to all, be able to do it yourself. That was a team win by all means. So I'm just grateful to have the support system that I do have and the great players that also surround me as a group. And it can give me more confidence when I'm, handling a great player like that.
We're going to show the video here. Take us inside the locker room after the game. What was that celebration like?
Yeah, it was crazy. I think we kind of knew that that's what we wanted to do with the water bottles and everything. But yeah, it was just a great moment, honestly. Something I'll never forget. And we were all like, drenched in water after it. Had to tell people it wasn't all sweat, it was actually water, but it was so fun.
Well, and then the dog pile as well coming up here in the video in just a second for your 1,000 career points for you at North Dakota State. What did that mean to you to reach that milestone and then the reaction from your teammates?
Yeah, I think when you have a reaction like that from your team, just it shows how much they support me and have supported me throughout my years here so far. And I just couldn't be more grateful for the team that I have and the teammates that I have. It's just been such a blessing to be a part of this group, and their support has helped me to get where I am.
You and I were chatting before we came on the air here this morning. Where you're from, Montevideo, not too far away from South Dakota. It sounds like you had a really good contingency, really good fan base of family and friends there supporting you. How much did that mean to you to see that on Saturday?
Yeah, that was such a special moment, to walk out after the game and to just see that kind of crowd of people there that have supported me throughout my entire basketball career since high school. It was just a big God moment for me to just see all those people there. Such a blessing, especially to be able to score my 1,000th point in that game and have the people there that maybe saw me do that in high school too. It's something I can't even kind of put into words. It kind of made me emotional, but just so grateful for the support I've been blessed with.
Back to the game, and I'm curious on where you guys or what you guys were thinking going into it. Obviously, the numbers speak for themselves. South Dakota State had the 67-game conference win streak going. NDSU hadn't beaten them in about 10 years. Was all that stuff? I know you guys cancel all that out, but was it daunting at all, knowing that the legacy that SDSU has built over the last 10 years or so?
Yeah, honestly, you can't really go into those games thinking too much about it, but you can help that kind of motivate you also. That's sports and it's competition, and to be able to break something like that is really, really special for a team and a program. And I keep saying like and Jory keeps saying this is a big win for our program, and kind of the next step for us. So we knew that we were capable of going in and winning that game, and so you just kind of have to tune out all the other outside noise, and I thought we did that well.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Again, North Dakota State getting the win over South Dakota State, first time in Brookings since 2010. You've been around this program for a while now. What's different about this team than years past? You kind of answered it a little bit with your guys' connectiveness as a unit. Getting some new players in this year, and it seems like everything's just firing on all cylinders. What's different about this year?
Yeah, one, I think we're all more mature. My class, I think especially we were blessed with more opportunities maybe than most freshmen to play when we were just coming in, and kind of got thrown into the mix right away, which helps now with experience and everything. But like you said, connectiveness also. We're a very close group of girls, and we all support each other. And when you have a group like that, it makes it easier to go out on the floor every day and not only just play to win, but play for each other and give it your best, because the other person next to you also deserves that. And also, I just think that we're a very competitive group, and I think going into every single game, we want to win, and we have that expectation for ourselves. And when you have that all combined together, it really sets up a team for success.
Couple of minutes left here with Avery Koenen, North Dakota State forward, joining us here on this Monday morning. Her appearance brought to us by Northwestern Mutual. Jeff and I were talking about this before you came on. How big of a difference maker has Joshy Schiller been this season, transferring in from North Dakota, and of course her helping run the floor with Marissa Frost to have those two really talented guards? How big of a difference is that?
Yeah, it makes a world of difference. And I think we had talented guards going in, but when you add another girl with that kind of skill level going into every single game, it just adds a whole nother level to our team. And she's a great defender. She handles ball pressure really well, and just makes a lot of plays for our team that maybe don't always go on the stat sheet even, but she's a hustle player too. And her passes and ability to read the floor is huge for us, and just having another great player on your team obviously is just going to make everyone better.
You guys got St. Thomas on the road coming up on Wednesday, and South Dakota at home on Saturday. What's the mindset going into this week against those two teams?
Yeah, I think just preparing like we have been all year for every single game. You take it one by one, and try not to look too far ahead, and you try not to also SDSU is a great win for us, but the next one also is the most important one now. So going in and preparing for that with confidence is just going to be what we need to do.
Make your plea here to the fans. We've seen it for the men's games the last couple here. They've filled up the stands. How cool would that be to see the students show up on Saturday in a packed fan base against South Dakota?
Yeah, it would mean a lot, when you have a group or a community that comes out and supports you. Obviously, it just kind of makes you play better. And we've got a great group of girls that I think are easy to support. From my point of view, at least, and just a fun team to watch. So anyone that comes or any support that we get means the world to us.
Avery, I appreciate you coming on. Best of luck this week down in St. Thomas, and we'll see you on Saturday.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No problem. Avery Koenen joining us from North Dakota State women's basketball after their big win over South Dakota State. Of course, 76-68 was the final score. Eric, do we got the conference standings? Let's throw that up real quick here just to remind people where everything's at. NDSU at the top, unbeaten. The win streak is at, what are we at here, 14 games now? It was really, really impressive. So they're at the top. They stand alone. South Dakota State now with their first loss in a while. They're 4-1. South Dakota's also 4-1. Oral Roberts in the 4. Kansas City in the 5. We've been saying it on this show for a while. It's a 2-horse race on the women's side of the Summit League between NDSU and SDSU. I would throw in South Dakota. I think Saturday we'll find some more answers on where exactly South Dakota falls into the mix here as we get closer and closer to the Summit League tournament. The bottom of the Summit League, there's a difference. There's a difference. And for North Dakota State going up against those teams, it would be good to see them not play with their food. I know that's the cliche that's used, and just put those games away. But we've talked about it with Jeff and now with Avery. It's the mindset of continuing the success. Okay, it's great. Got it once. Can they continue to build on that? Because they're going to see South Dakota State again in the regular season up here in Fargo next time. And most likely, if you want to punch your ticket to a Summit League Tournament Championship and punch your ticket to the NCAA Tournament, going to have to go through South Dakota State again. Can they do it twice and at least twice in one season? That's what we're going to have to find out moving forward. Eric popped it up for a second. The net rankings as of now updated this morning. NDSU 42. That's a pretty good number to be at, 42. South Dakota State falls to 49, and then the rest of the group 150 and below. But for NDSU to be at 42, that's pretty impressive. And the bracketology for ESPN updated Tuesdays and Fridays. Last week, NDSU wasn't in the bracket. I would imagine this has turned some heads. They'll be in there. We'll see if the Summit League's a two-bid league this year. That's what I'll be curious about on the women's side. But can't overstate it. It's a really impressive win for North Dakota State over South Dakota State this last weekend. There's no doubt about that. And to do it on the road, that's pretty impressive. All right, we'll take a break. When we come back, we'll put a bow on things, get into our what to watch, and get out the door on this Monday morning. A couple of minutes left to go. Hot Mic returns after this. Back on this Monday morning, couple of more minutes left to go to wrap up the first show of the week. Again, Sam Getzinger filling in for Dom Izzo. He is off today. He'll be back tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday, and then I'll be back in on Friday. So that's our schedule for the week. Of course, we got a lot of high school games coming up this week. No Bison basketball on WDAY Extra until Saturday. Both teams on the road during the week. With the women down in St. Thomas. NDSU's got their trip with Denver and ORU this week on the road. And then Bison women's basketball back at home on Saturday against South Dakota. Great to hear from Avery Koenen. Again, congratulations to her and her team for that win against South Dakota State. A couple of things here in the last couple of minutes to wrap up the show this morning. In the NFL, mentioned it briefly, but the big coaching news today is that the Bills have fired head coach Sean McDermott after their loss to the Denver Broncos. Just not able to win the big one with the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen over there. That's important. So things are going to shake up in the AFC. Interesting for John Harbaugh. What did he take the Giants job the other day? Hung around a little bit. Maybe he could have been in contention for the Bills job. Now he's got to go coach up the young New York Giants. But that's the news in the NFL. And of course, the big one heading into the AFC Championship is that Denver will be without their starting quarterback, Bo Nix, for the rest of this playoff run, whatever it is. Jarrett Stidham is going to be the guy. So unless Jarrett Stidham is the next Nick Foles and nobody knew it, I think Denver's season's coming to an end. Denver also signed Ben DiNucci the other day to their practice squad, former James Madison great, if you will. So that's what's going up there. So interesting to see if Denver has any chance against a really good New England team. And my pick in the NFC still remains. I think Seattle's got a good shot of winning the entire thing this year. They look really good. I did have the opportunity to do a little bit more digging here and talking about the national championship that's coming up tonight. Marty Brown does have the chance to be the first player to win an FCS national championship and then an FBS national championship in back-to-back years, which is now probably going to see more of now in the new era of the transfer portal. But props to Marty Brown. Big game coming up tonight. We'll see how much he touches the rock. I think a lot of people up here will be pulling for him. Of course, he won Freshman of the Year with North Dakota State last season after a really good year. They got the national championship game coming up this evening, I should say, which leads us into our What to Watch. Let's get into that as we wrap up this Monday morning. All right, in our What to Watch, Miami and Indiana, as we've been mentioning throughout the morning, the FBS National Championship College Football Playoffs will finally come to an end today. Miami, see if Marty Brown gets in there a little bit. Indiana with Kurt Cignetti, they've been on a tear. That's a really good football team over there led by the Heisman Trophy winner, Fernando Mendoza. That game's at 6:30 on ESPN. Other games this evening, the Minnesota Wild coming off of an overtime win against Buffalo on Saturday. They've snapped their losing streak. Seems like they're back to their winning ways. They're moving up the standings as well. They're tied with Dallas. Keep an eye out on the Minnesota Wild. They got Toronto tonight, 6:30 on the FanDuel Sports Network. And then I was looking around, taking a couple of peeks, and there's some pretty good women's basketball games on this afternoon. A couple going on at the Prudential Center, which is over in Newark, New Jersey. Vanderbilt, Michigan. Vanderbilt ranked 5, Michigan ranked 8. That's probably your game of the day, 1:30 on Fox, coming up right at the conclusion of the end of this show. Ohio State ranked 14th and TCU ranked 10th. That's at 11 o'clock on Fox. Both of those games at the Prudential Center in Newark. Those are some pretty good women's basketball games. Also later on Fox this evening, UConn ranked number 1 and Notre Dame ranked 23. So if you like college women's hoops, some good games coming on later on this evening. Big thank you to Sam Herder, Jeff Kolpack, Avery Koenen for joining us on this Monday. Thank you for joining us. Hopefully you're going to stay warm the rest of the week. That's easier said than done. Dom's back in here tomorrow. I'll be back on Friday. Enjoy the rest of your Monday. We'll see you later on this week.